morning, everyone, and welcome to First Things First, and welcome to Kevin Wilds, our newest team member.
We're running out
of desk for this guy.
He's just been hanging around the office for a month. I didn't know what was going on.
All right, Raz, the new guy.
Hey, Kevin.
This is Kevin.
We talked at 4:30, Nick.
They call him Wild.
Nice to meet you. I'm just doing this so everyone can see your tiny hands. Billy looks smaller now. Good to see you.
I do a high five. I'm not going to do it because it's there. You go.
There you go.
Okay. We won't have to do that again. Just a day one kind of thing. We're glad you're here. We got a lot to get to today. Big show for Kevin's big debut. Small ball might be the big answer for the Rockets. Jayson Tatum might have finally convinced Nick he is indeed a superstar, but we got to start this morning with some tough news for the Philadelphia 76ers and some problems with the process. Philly already without one of their two stars in Ben Simmons, now possibly without two of their two stars. Joel Embiid played just 8 minutes last night before suffering a sprained shoulder. He will have an MRI today. Head coach Brett Brown unsure if his star center will have to miss time. Nick, how disappointing is this for the Sixers?
Well, it's massively disappointing for the Sixers. It's disappointing for me personally. With my friends at Fox Bet yesterday, I gave America a can't lose 3-team parlay. It was going to pay 8-1. Dallas minus 5.5 locked in. Clippers minus 7.5 easy money. Philly minus 7.5 dead in the water 4 minutes into the game because Joel Embiid gets hurt. So selfishly,
bottom line, you lost money.
Because Joel Embiid got hurt. But more importantly for them, listen, Antoine, this was 20 games ago. I felt like I knew this was a lost season for Philly because this was a finals run or bust, not championship or bust. But if they make the finals this year, that was going to be the barometer of success. And we knew a month and a half ago that wasn't going to happen. But the Ben Simmons injury opened up a alternate path to this being somewhat successful in as much as you could get a real sample size of what would this team look like if we not blew it up, but traded away one of our major pieces this summer, that piece being Ben. Now, unless Joel is back way sooner than at least I expect, you're not even going to get that almost consolation prize on the season. So if you're a Sixer fan this morning, it's just a stomach punch after a stomach punch on what has been a bad season already.
And it makes it really difficult, too, because if he misses a significant amount of time, you're going to probably fall in the standings. You're probably going to drop. You can almost drop to 8, depending on if you can win some games. They haven't been playing great over the last 10 games anyway, only 5-5. So now you add get your superstars out. It becomes very difficult to win games with every team pushing for the playoffs. So you could drop down and end up playing a really, really tough opponent, maybe Toronto in the first round, the Celtics in the first round. So it becomes very hard and the season becomes a disaster. If I'm Philly right now, you got to just hold your horse. You got to understand the injuries happen. They're a part of the game. You don't want to overreact. You need to get these guys healthy. You don't want to blow this thing up because of injuries. So Brand has a tough decision to make. Obviously, you got to make sure both of these guys come back healthy. You're talking about 2 major injuries in 2 spots that can linger on when you think about, Ben Simmons' back and then now his shoulder. So you got to be cautious of 2 superstars because you don't want to blow it up and put your whole franchise at jeopardy, and you work so hard to become a good playoff team, a championship team.
Well, let's not overblow this. What's the upcoming schedule for the Sixers right now? It's not hard.
They've got a soft schedule aside from the 2 games against the LA teams, like 6 of their next 7 against some of the worst teams in basketball. But the Cavs are one of the worst teams in basketball, and without Embiid and Simmons, you lose to them. Like that, you get blown out by them.
And we should mention, there's no significant time yet that we've talked about that he's going to miss. He's going to have an MRI today. So this is all just a big maybe right now, but it's still a tough blow for the Sixers.
So when we were talking about the Sixers, we talked about the Sixers in rehearsal. We did some rehearsals. We talked about the Sixers. And I was like, who do the Sixers remind me of? And they kind of remind me of the We Believe Warriors. For this reason, We Believe Warriors, special group of guys that come together, that gel perfectly, that represent a city. So the Sixers remind me of the We Believe Warriors because they seem like the exact opposite.
I was
wondering where you're going.
The new guy doesn't know.
No, but they seem like the exact opposite team. So I guess the question to you, Antoine, is, from the outside, fans, analysts, sports geniuses, as Nick likes to be referred to as.
Thank you.
We look at the numbers and we try to figure it out, but there's a certain je ne sais quoi to a team's chemistry. Like, how does that captured and what happens now. Does that make sense?
Well, you got to look at the roster, and obviously now Tobias Harris, a guy you pay big money to, you expect him to step up tremendously. Al Horford has to be a guy you lean on now. They got scoring. I don't know if these guys can get you 25, 30 a night, but they've had guys on their roster still left that have had big nights. Alec Burke has had big nights in this league. Glenn Robinson III has had big nights. Shake Milton.
Josh Richardson won a big game.
So they got guys. They could compete. I think, obviously last night, when you see them lose to the Cavs, so you think it can go really downhill. But now you lean on your coaching. Now this is what Brent Brown earns his money.
Yeah, well,
figuring out creative ways to make this lineup work and try to hold the fort down if they miss significant amount of time.
One last point before we move on, which is on this show at least, we have talked a lot about if they have to trade one of these guys. Everyone who's been on this show has said you'd trade Simmons, you'd trade Simmons. Ben Simmons fans in Philly, even though Ben just got injured, are saying this is why Ben's the guy you keep and Joel's the guy you move. Prior to Ben's back injury, he had played 81 and 79 games in his 2 seasons as a pro. He'd been incredibly durable. Joel Embiid's been anything but durable as a pro, and now he is injured again, which is another fly in the ointment for Philly in what they do moving forward, Jenna.
All right, well, you wonder if this might possibly, if these two are out now, be the beginning of the end of the process. All right, the other big game last night came from the smallest team in the league. The Rockets just demolished the Grizzlies 140-112. How about Russ? He went off 33 points. Harden had 30. That's 5 straight wins for the Houston Rockets. Nick, I thought small ball wasn't supposed to work, they said, right? That's what they told us.
The
You're not going to be able to compete.
And at some point, people are going to stop doubting my pal Daryl Morey. Daryl Morey said we're going to shoot 1,000 threes. People said you can't win that way. Now the whole league shoots 1,000 threes. The only team to even get to a Game 6, much less a Game 7, against a healthy Kevin Durant Warriors team was these Houston Rockets, who were up 3-2, were up 15 points in Game 6 and up 15 points in Game 7 without their second best player, Chris Paul, and now
they weren't these Houston Rockets, Nick. That's not fair.
Okay, well,
it's a totally different team. Russell Westbrook wasn't on the team.
Agreed. The point being, he has made moves that people, when he makes,
I like Daryl,
people question him. And when the Clint Capella trade happened, people said, okay, this is the last gasp of the Rockets trying to contend. And all they've done since then, since Clint Capella last played a game, they've gone 9-2. One of those losses was the Bogdanovich 3 in the final second. The other loss, Russ didn't play. And most importantly, what trading away Capella has done, Capella, who, by the way, still isn't playing for his new team because he's injured, has unlocked the best version of Russell Westbrook that we've seen in quite some time. He's not shooting threes. He had another monster game last night. He has brought some energy and some toughness to this team, and he's gotten back to playing Russell Westbrook basketball, and that doesn't happen if he has a big out there. That doesn't happen if Clint Capella's still out there.
Right,
So say it. Yeah.
So say it.
Say what?
Can they make the NBA Finals?
Oh, listen, right now they're the 3rd best team in the NBA. Lakers, Bucks, and the Rockets.
Okay, so can they make the NBA Finals?
They have the best chance of any team in the West to upset the Lakers.
Do you think?
I think the Lakers. No, they can. I don't think they will. They're not my pick to make the finals.
Everybody can.
They have the best chance of anyone not named the Lakers or the Bucks in making the finals.
Nick, I like Daryl. I think he's done a terrific job of putting together great regular season teams. They're great. The problem is they shoot 53s last night. They only had 93 shots. You're not going to win an NBA title like that. The reason why you're not going to win an NBA title like that, the Phoenix Suns tried it, they couldn't do it. Then you talk, Golden State did it, but Golden State did it with guys who are 50, 40, 90 guys. You don't have anybody on the Rockets that's 50, 40, 90 guys. You don't have knockdown three-point shooters. You got guys that are very capable and are good shooters that make threes, but they're not going to be able to win come playoff time. Too many bad possessions, too many empty trips going down. They take a lot of bad shots. That style of play works in the regular season, of course.
But that's what Russ is there for now. Now you have a guy that can get to the rim. Now you have a guy that will shoot the mid-range.
Do you think come playoff time, you think that the teams are going to actually play Russ with a center? It would not happen.
Well, then they got to take the center off the court, and now you're playing to the Rockets' hands.
Okay, but I would rather take my chance there. They're not going to play him with a center. Don't get me wrong. This style opened up where Russ can be very effective. He's the one guy who's benefited the most from this trade.
Yep.
James Harden is going to be James Harden. We know that. But can the other guys benefit from him? I like the pieces they added. I told you yesterday the fact that they're getting guys that can play small ball, because you got to be able to.
Carroll, those guys.
They were great defensively last night. Active hands, really take. But they're going to still get out rebounded. It's going to be empty possessions with some of the shots they took. They took 53s last night. That was more than twos. It's tough to win that way if you don't have knockdown shooters, and they don't have necessarily the best knockdown shooters like Golden State did.
So I have a question, Antoine. When you were playing, I remember that Scottie Pippen said this was like the big flaw about the Rockets, that they look great on regular season, but over a 7-game series, once I figure you out, and there's a certain newness to this that people haven't figured out. And once it's like, oh, I figured it out. You guys shoot a whole lot of threes. We can defend that, and that's why they don't win playoffs. So, like, is that a factor that, like, once you play a team 7 times, you can figure them out?
Yeah, without question, in the series, you can. The thing was great about having Russ and James Harden, they can win a playoff game on their own. They can have big nights. That's the advantage they have over a lot of teams. That's why Nick probably has them the 3rd best team in the league. I don't think they're better than the Clippers, but they're the top 4 teams in the league. I think they're 4. I think the Clippers are better than them. But I just think with the way that those two guys, the game is constructed right now, they take a lot of bad shots. And I just think in playoffs, it becomes a possession game, and I don't trust that Harden is going to make the right decision late in the game, whether it's to shoot a 3 or to get to the basket. That's what it comes down to. Russ getting to the basket or shooting the pull-up jump shot. Those are the type of things you got to worry about with these guys to help them get over the hump. They're going to be great during the regular season, and they've shown that. And their style of play is very exciting. This must-see basketball. I enjoy watching them play. Don't get me wrong. I just shoot threes all the time. I watch them play, but I just talk about this is not the fact that I don't watch.
They got to find another way.
They got to find another way in the playoffs.
In a playoff
they were the best.
You play the Lakers.
They were the best team in the NBA and the best team in the playoffs until Chris Paul got hurt playing this exact style. You can say it's a different team, but the idea that it can't win in the playoffs, they're up 3-2 on the Warriors until Chris Paul tweaked his hamstring. They've retooled. They're putting themselves in position again. I think this narrative that it doesn't work in the playoffs, it worked better than anyone against the Warriors, this exact style.
Rockets put up 140 points last night. They've won 5 in a row playing the way they're playing. Let's see how long this lasts. Whether you think Jayson Tatum is a superstar or not, he's definitely making his case. Celtics beat the Jazz. Another big night for Tatum. 33 points and 11 boards. Jayson Tatum is averaging just over 30 points in the month of February. But, Nick, you're still not quite convinced Jayson Tatum's a star.
Listen, bless you.
That out of the way.
We got to define what star is. And Jayson Tatum, I said yesterday on the show, was going to win Eastern Conference Player of the Month. And then he went out and had another monster game. I think he had 25 in the first half.
Yep.
He was sensational. This month, Jenna, you mentioned he's averaging 30 this month. He's doing it on 51% from the field, 50% from 3. The Celtics have won 9 of 11. Their 2 losses are at Houston and at the Lakers.
Superstar status.
No.
Superstar, those sound like superstar numbers.
Okay, listen. There are tiers in this league. There's the superstar tier, the LeBron tier.
Tatum.
LeBron, Giannis, Harden, Kawhi, Anthony Davis, Kevin Durant, Steph. Those 7. They are by themselves. No one else is in that group. Then there's that next tier. The All-NBA maybe will be superstars as soon as next season, or once were superstars, but now a bit on the tick down. Joel Embiid, Paul George, not playing like it this year, was 3rd in the MVP last year. Dame, Clay, let's not forget about Clay, he's out for the season. Nikola Jokic, who I don't love his game, but you can't deny how effective they've been. Russ, Luka, Zion. That's your next group of guys.
What are we calling them? Stars?
Stars, all NBA.
But Zion's in there.
Yeah, Zion's in there. You can say it's recency bias. I don't think he's going to tear off. Okay. Then there's the tier Tatum's in.
Okay.
There's no shame in being in this tier. He's with Pascal Siakam. He's with Jimmy Butler. He's with Bradley Beal. He's with Kyrie Irving. He's with Chris Middleton. He's with draft classmate Donovan Mitchell. He's with CJ McCollum. That's where he is. Celtic fans, that's not an insult. It's a compliment.
Celtics fan, he's like a literal Celtic. Celtic. I'm a Celtic fan.
Okay, fair
Celtic
enough.
fan.
That's all right. Do you think that I'm underrating Jayson Tatum?
Not right now. He's still got some work to do to prove. I mean, we're going off a sample size of the last, I would say, 6 weeks where he's taking his game to the next level. I said this last year. He was going to have to get better, get back to playing the way he played his rookie year.
Yep.
And he did that. He put the work in. You see it. His offensive game has evolved now. He can score from anywhere on the floor. Obviously, the most impressive part has been his three-point shooting. The ability to make the three-point shot has been great. But when you think about the Eastern Conference, he's probably in the top 4. You know, it depends on what you want to look as far as
his tier.
I'm just talking about as far as wings.
My tier.
You know, you got to put him in
as far as wings.
As far as wings, he's in the top 4. You know, you got Jimmy Butler, who's really good. Then obviously Ben Simmons, if you want to put him in that category with Ben Simmons.
I've got him in the same group.
Yeah, and then Siakam. I will say that. You know, it's always the Greek Freak is at another level. You know, because he's at another level. But he's in that top 4. But what he's doing right now on the offensive end, he's that next Celtic. He's that next Bird. He's that next Paul Pierce for the Boston Celtics. He's arrived.
And good for him because he's worked on things he needs to work on. His body's gotten better. His defense has gotten better. Like he's an ascending player, but people want to anoint him. He's not there yet. Okay. He's not one of the 15 best. All I'm saying is not one of the 15 best players in the league.
Hold on, story time.
I can't do the math. We're minutes into the first show.
It's my first day.
Go.
I had 2 hot takes already. People are like, oh, you're going to be on the show with Nick Wright. I say, yeah. Like, are you going to argue with Nick Wright? And it was kind of like a boxing thing. Like, you're going to argue, like, I don't know if you want to argue with Nick Wright. He's a good arguer. I'm like, no, I'm not really an arguer. I'm not like I'm like a nice person.
You're a lover, not a fighter.
Yeah, I'm just not. So I'm like, how can I disagree with this take vehemently, but I want to like find common ground. So for the month of February, where he's averaging 30 points and 50%, are you willing, I don't know if your tier has like monthly tiers, are you willing for this month to put him in your superstar tier?
Yeah, if you're willing for this month to put Paul George in the G League. But that's not how this stuff works.
It's like, your tier. No. Has he been playing like a superstar?
Absolutely. Okay. That's how you win Eastern Conference Player of the Month. It means in the whole
maybe it's like Nick's tier.
This conference, this month he's been as good or better than Giannis.
That's good. See, that's good. Put that on the bar. Nick Wright.
Don't put that on the bar.
Tatum is better than Giannis.
But Jenna, I want to bring up someone near and dear to your heart, Danny Ainge. Because you know who agrees with me, and not Sully in the South End, and not all the people populating my Twitter feed right now angry with me? Danny Ainge. Because if he thought Jayson Tatum was already a superstar, then guess what? He moves one of those precious draft picks.
To get AD?
Forget AD. To get Davis Bertans, to get Clint Capella, to get a big at the deadline who was available. If you think you have a superstar, you think you can go to the finals. And if you think that, you move the Memphis pick, which you've held on to like it's spun gold, the Milwaukee pick that you have. And he didn't. You know why? Because he knows they're a year away from being a year away, which is where the Celtics always are, by the way. But that's where they are right now.
Or can I throw this out there?
Yeah.
Maybe he knows what Brad Stevens needs to have a complete team. He knows that Brad Stevens already tried working with a superstar. Didn't quite work. Brad Stevens does great with that system when all those guys, they always seem to play a little bit better when they don't have that mega superstar
but I'm not
on
saying
that
they should have traded for a superstar. I'm saying they should have traded for a big.
And we don't talk about it, but the reason why these guys are playing a lot better, and let's be honest, Kyrie's gone. You got the bad apple out the locker room. The guy that kind of create this negative energy in the locker room is gone. You got a upbeat guy in Kemba Walker who's came in and fit in very well, who's had an all-star year. Yep. You got 4 guys averaging double figures, 4 guys that can get you 20 to 25 at any given moment. Yep. They're sharing the basketball at an unbelievable rate. They got a good system in place. They're a little small as far as on the team. They're not as big as they are, but they got the attitude is right. Last year we talked so much about the Celtics won 49 games last year. They were still a very, very good team. But we talked about last year about the attitude, the bad press conferences that Kyrie had. That tears young guys down that are 21, 22, 23 years old. Danny Ainge knew that. You bring a positive guy into the locker room like Kemba Walker, things change, attitudes change. Now all of a sudden Jayson Tatum's an all-star. Now he's feeling really good about himself. Good. That's why he's playing great this month. It's because, one, he gets voted to the All-Star team. When you get voted on the All-Star team, your swag go up, Nick. You walk a little different. You talk a little different. You feel yourself. So he's coming in the building now. He's a little different. He's going to start dressing a little different.
Oh!
Watch. He's going to start dressing a little different. He's going to go out now.
Maybe a new tattoo.
Yeah.
Well, the tattoo is part of it, right?
It's everything. He's going to start taking. Even though he didn't take his game, like we know he took his game serious, is he going to take it even more serious? It's something about when you get selected to the All-Star team and you're in the locker room with the top other 23 guys in the league, you start to feel different. You start to pick up things.
You know that. Your first one was, what, 98? You get
98, my second year.
You start dressing different?
Yeah, Michael Jordan, Reggie Miller, Larry Bird's my coach. I'm like, man, I'm on the back of the bus like, man, they like young fellas, you got to go to the front of the bus. This is the veterans on the back. It's a different feeling you have. And I brought that to my team. I wanted to win more. I'm more vocal now. I'm speaking up in the locker room. I guarantee you everything about him changes. You'll see the demeanor changes on him.
That's great.
It's going to be unbelievable. And he's the next Bird. He's the next Paul Pierce for the Celtics. He's that next guy.
I got no problem with any of that.
Thank you, Danny Ainge. How about that? What's the moral of the story? Danny Ainge is awesome. Chiefs GM Brett Veach has proven he knows how to put together a Super Bowl team, mainly because he just put together a Super Bowl team. The next step, trying to put together a dynasty. And the first step to that is signing his all-everything quarterback to a new deal. Here's Veach from the Combine.
I think the cool thing about Pat and his agent is they realize that, he's going to make a lot of money, but they also realize that, listen, no one operates in the sense of taking the extreme team discount, but Pat is also very cognizant of wanting to be in a place like Kansas City and win a lot of Super Bowls. Right. And there are some things to help the team, to make sure that there's always talent around him. So it'll take time. Yeah. It'll get done.
Right.
But he's one of those kids. He's a special kid, and his agent, they want to make sure he's surrounded with a bunch of talent.
Brett Veach there. How do you think, Nick, it'll affect the Chiefs' Super Bowl window if they make Mahomes the highest player in the league?
The highest paid player. Their window stays wide open as long as he's on the roster at any cost. There's no amount of money too much. Listen, they've got Tyreek Kelsey, both tackles, Tyrann Mathieu and Frank Clark, all locked up for the next few years. They have their core intact. And people are going to get sticker shock when Patrick Mahomes gets $40 million or more per year. But it is go ahead, Watts.
No, I was interested in what Greg has to say, because I think that most sports fans, or I wouldn't say for most sports fans, I'll say just me. Like, I kind of check out once we have to start breaking out the calculators to become a sports fan. But Greg, I was interested in, when you're on the team, how does it affect the team? How does money and contracts affect the dynamic of a team? Have you ever felt like the dynamic of a team has been affected by contracts specifically, that it hurts you or helps you or makes you feel some kind of way?
Well, as far as relationships, it doesn't hurt or affect relationships. But as far as a guy's mentality moving forward, I'll give you an example for myself. I knew I was coming up on a contract in Green Bay, my second contract, and my third contract. But I also knew Aaron was coming up, Clay was coming up, DJ Raji was coming up. And so when you start thinking that way, you start trying to see, okay, how do I fit in this puzzle? How do they fit in? Who's the most important piece? Who's younger? You start thinking about all those things. So what you're talking about is exactly right. When you have guys locked up already, and then you have your big piece of the puzzle to lock in, everything is good up until those guys are up again, and then that's when you start to concern yourself. But for right now, Nick is 100% correct.
But this is a fake concern, because for two reasons. One is, I'm just curious, if a team calls the Chiefs, what do they have to offer for Mahomes in order for the Chiefs to have a meeting? If the Cowboys call up and say, we'll give you Zeke and the entire offensive line, do the Chiefs even call a meeting? If the Chargers say you can have Joey Bosa, Derwin James, and 3 first-round picks, is that enough to generate a meeting, much less a trade? Maybe. Maybe that would be like, okay, we do have to at least discuss this. The Steelers say you can have Juju, Minka, TJ Watt, or 2 picks. Okay, maybe Brett Veach is like, guys, do we need to discuss this? He is more valuable than, other than quarterbacks, the next 5 best players in the league, because he's the best player at the most important position. And the point I was going to make about the $40 million is it's not $40 million. While you're a fancy guy who's had a lot of fancy jobs, you eat a lot of fancy steakhouses. You go to a steakhouse.
Sure.
The cheapest steak on the menu is $56. The one you really want, the bone-in filet, is $68. That's not a $68 steak. It's a $12 steak, because get in the door is $56. You are anchored at $56. In a league where Kirk Cousins makes $28, you are anchored at $28. So is Patrick Mahomes worth $12 million? Is he worth a 1 Pro Bowl nickel corner more than Kirk Cousins? Of course he is. So the sticker shock is meaningless. You are screwed if you pay Jared Goff. You are screwed if you don't pay Patrick Mahomes. He's going to become the highest paid player ever, and he's going to be well worth it, because he's worth 3 or 4 Pro Bowl level players.
I like that.
He's not even worth the conversation to discuss for trade value.
That's a second conversation.
I wouldn't even talk about it. I'm talking about Derwin James. I wouldn't take any. We're not taking any. This is a non-negotiable when it comes to Patrick Mahomes.
I'm not trying to trade him, Greg. What are you looking at?
No, I know. I'm just saying.
I can't believe you don't like Patrick Mahomes. Moving on to the Dallas Cowboys now. Dak still doesn't have a deal, and Dallas still isn't making things any easier for their negotiations. Take a listen to the latest comments now from head coach Mike McCarthy.
I think he's gone off to a great start. He's built a really good foundation. I'm told he's a tremendous leader. So, in my philosophy, as we get with, the personnel department and as we go through that, I mean, the defenses get you to the championship. The quarterbacks win championships, and I definitely feel Dak is that quarterback.
So I think this is just awesome leadership. I think it's awesome leadership from the coach of the Cowboys. Nothing else. It's exactly what he's supposed to do. Build up his players.
If he was talking about a player on his roster, I would agree. But Dak Prescott doesn't currently play for the Cowboys, so it seems to be a little tricky here. I would totally agree that when I heard that soundbite, I said, oh, well, I know the lead of the show. The lead of the show is Dak Prescott just agreed to a new deal with the Dallas Cowboys. And then I looked for that story, and that story didn't exist. And I say, you got to be kidding me. Again, they do this. Again, the Cowboys, we've got Jerry Jones say basically, I had an adopted son. His name was Tony. I gave him up for secondary adoption for my new favorite adopted son, Dak. Steven, who says he's going to be our quarterback in perpetuity. And now you've got the new head coach, the one guy who wasn't tied to him because Jason Garrett was. The one guy who maybe when you're meeting with Dak's agent, which supposedly is happening today for the first time since September, you could maybe say, well, listen, we love Dak, but Mike hasn't seen him, and, $38 million seems like a lot. No, now Mike's like, no, Super Bowl winning quarterback. He's going to win a Super Bowl.
Great.
So
great leadership.
Yeah, unless you're in the midst of a contract negotiation, in which case you just continue negotiating against yourself in the media for reasons I can't understand.
Could you see the New England Patriots doing this? Could you see the Patriots? Have they said a word about Tom Brady? Have we heard anything?
That's a great point.
Nothing. They scratched the dirt. We're like, there was dirt scratched in New England. Oh, nothing on Tom Brady.
Yep,
that's how you do it.
This has always been abnormal to me, being on the end of where Dak has been, being the player and having a team that says all the right things, but then I'm still left without a contract.
Right.
So it's always been very abnormal and strange. However, they want Dak Prescott to be there. Dak Prescott wants to be there. He understands this is the best situation for me. As much as he would love to believe that he can go and take his talents anywhere else, this is the best situation. It's literally been
because of the long history of winning in Dallas?
No, because of the way they've put the pieces around him. Like, everything has been orchestrated to support what Dak Prescott does.
Right.
And now he's taken the step to where now he can actually take what you put around him and make it even better.
When Mike McCarthy is asked about Dak, how do the other players not named Dak listen to that or interpret that answer? So when he's supporting one player, is he supporting the team in general?
Yeah, okay, I'll give you an example.
Here we go.
You listen to a Ron Rivera talk about the guys on his roster or a judge in New York. Like, guys are listening like, man, here we go. Like, to say Saquon is not your starter, let's be realistic. Guys know, okay, we got one of these guys that every single day I go out to the practice field is going to be, I got to prove myself. And that isn't always true or fact. Where Mike McCarthy is coming from a different angle of, look, we know who this guy is. We understand what's before us. I remember being in his office and being in a contract negotiation and him saying, Greg, it's going to work itself out. You got to go through your due diligence. I'm doing the same thing. Mike understands. He gets it. He's one of those coaches that just flat out gets it. And guys, they literally love a coach that just gets it.
I appreciate that. But it is not binary. It is not either you're Joe Judge saying, I don't even know, I've never met Saquon. How do you spell his name? What position does he play? And Mike McCarthy saying Dak Prescott, who is not on the Dallas Cowboys in 2.5 weeks, free agent Dak Prescott, that he's going to win Super Bowls for us and is definitely a quarterback that can win championships. There has to be a happy medium. And Mike Fisher out of Dallas reported yesterday, not only that the Cowboys are meeting again today, but that the sides were close at $34 million per year last September. If $34 million didn't get it done, then Dak, when he believes he's coming off the best year of his career, we're now talking about, what, 38? 39 million. We just asked if Patrick Mahomes is worth that money. The Cowboys have put themselves in a position where this is going one of two ways and neither ends well. It's either Kirk Cousins 2.0, where you go franchise, and he's gone.
Trade.
Or Jared Goff 2.0, where you pay an above average, I don't even know if Goff's above average, but Dak definitely is, an above average quarterback like he's the best quarterback in football. And that's a disaster as well. They keep painting themselves further in this corner where either you have inflated Dak's head to believe I should be the highest paid player in football, and you don't want to make him that, or you do make him that. And either way, it ends poorly for the Cowboys. I don't know why they keep talking. I don't know why they keep saying these things.
Saying nice things, Greg just said.
Well, no, they keep talking because they know he can't go anywhere.
Right, but they don't want to franchise him. I think they should. They would like to get him signed to a long-term deal, right?
Yes, at the number that they would like.
Well, that's the issue, is you keep talking like he's going to win a Super Bowl, like he is worth upwards of $40 million a year for a player who already wants $40 million a year.
Nick, I think what they're doing is they're really painting a picture for Dak Prescott, letting him know, like, this situation that we have, this works. Yeah. We have an opportunity to win.
That's good.
If you stay here. If you take less, we can keep what we have and continue to win. Mike McCarthy is not about trying to win just one Super Bowl as a Dallas Cowboys head coach.
Multiple Super Bowls.
He wants to win multiple Super Bowls. So if you give Dak Prescott the Patrick Mahomes type money, meaning he's the highest paid quarterback, highest paid player in the NFL, then that starts to eliminate guys like Amari Cooper, which you need Dak Prescott. Think about that.
Yeah, he knew that when he turned down $34 million. And so the idea that he's now going to come back to the table and say, hey, Mike McCarthy said such nice things about me, I'll take less money. Where's the win? I'm just curious. When you're in a negotiation, the whole reason, part of the reason people hire agents is because during a negotiation, they say bad things about you. They say, well, Greg, we love him, but he's not as good as him. He doesn't do this as well. And you don't want to hear it. You want your agent to hear it. At this point, I don't know why Dak needs an agent. He's going to walk in that negotiation. They're going to be like, you're so good looking. We like you so much. You're the best quarterback we've had in 30 years. I can't imagine playing without you. And that is, okay, you're going to end up paying the 11th best quarterback in football like he's the second best.
Maybe.
That's
or
a recipe for
Jerry
disaster.
Jones is this super intelligent business guy that makes all the right decisions.
And folds at the end like he did against Zeke.
Let's see what happens. Greg, you want to play some in or out?
Let's do it.
Dak Prescott still does not have a contract, gentlemen, but that didn't stop Mike McCarthy from calling him a quarterback that can win a championship. Nick Wright, are you in or out on Dak being a Super Bowl caliber quarterback?
I'm out. I think we know at this point what Dak is. Dak's a good, not great quarterback. If he has the perfect everything around him, could he win a Super Bowl? Sure, but in the Joe Flacco mold. But even Joe Flacco that year had to go on an unbelievable run individually. No, I don't believe that he's Super Bowl caliber quarterback.
Greg?
I'm in. Sometimes as a quarterback, as players, you just need a change at the head. And with Mike McCarthy, he brings a different mentality, a different approach. You don't always need to change the pieces around you because sometimes the pieces work. You just need to change the person who's moving the pieces, and I think they've done that.
Wild.
Well, my thing says in, but now I'm going to say out and switch it because I'm going to say multiple Super Bowl caliber quarterback because Greg said McCarthy's after multiple Super Bowls.
Okay.
More than one.
So
it's a technicality.
Our graphics
Let's
guy
go get
already
it.
doesn't like it.
Well, multiple Super Bowls according to Greg, so I'm now weighing.
Moving on to the Chiefs now. GM Brett Veach was asked about Patrick Mahomes getting a new deal. He said, quote, it'll take time, it'll get done. So, Nick, you in or out on the Chiefs being able to keep enough talent around Patrick Mahomes if they give him a $200 million deal?
Of course I'm in. Listen, the Chiefs, they're going to have to draft well. You're going to have to make sure those first and second round picks that are on cheap contracts are contributing players as they were last year, with Juan Thornhill being an excellent safety for them till he tore his ACL in Week 17. You're also going to have to continue to look ahead on contracts so you can get guys on a bit of a discount. Mitchell Schwartz, the best right tackle in football. He had 2 years left on his deal going into this year. They gave him a new extension early, so they got him on a discount. Those are things you've got to do, but they have the best player in the league. If you have the best player in the league in any sport other than baseball, you're in the Super Bowl or championship contention. Mike Trout and the Angels is the one exception there. So, of course, I'm in. No matter what you got to pay him, I'm in.
All right, Greg.
Yeah, I'm 100% in on this, and the reason being, forget all of what Nick said. But the one thing that you did say, he's just the best player in football right now. And anytime you have the best player, you put pieces around him, which they do have for quite some time, you're going to continue to win. He is so good, he's going to elevate any and everyone you put around him. This guy he's a generational talent.
Wow, it's fake typing.
Fake typing effect. I don't know. Who knows? I don't know.
You don't know.
I need the Dustin, can you give me the salaries of every single Chiefs player and the upcoming salary cap?
Yeah.
I need it all.
Well,
and then I'm going to sit down.
What
do you need?
In my heart?
Yeah, what's in your heart? You feel like...
I think his answer is maybe, because it's literally on the script.
That's
in my heart.
Maybe?
Yeah, no, he's got the Cowboys going on a dynasty.
Multiple Super Bowls.
And the Chiefs are going to be held down by
in my heart, they can do it.
Look, he gave it to you. He gave you a heartfelt answer.
There you go.
I don't need that anymore.
Never mind, Dusty. Scrap it.
I'm just going to go from the heart.
Love the new guy. Love the new guy. On to Tom Brady now. The NFL Network's Mike Giardi reporting that executives, coaches, and scouts at the Combine in Indy see the Titans, the Raiders, and the New York Giants as possible suitors for Tom Brady. Nick, you in or out on the Giants making a run at TB12?
I'm out. This is all because Joe Judge thinks an enormous part of the Patriot way is being cagey with the media, and so he wouldn't name Daniel Jones his starter. It is asinine. Of course, there are a lot of teams that are going to go after Tom Brady, and maybe the Giants be better off with Tom Brady than the fumbling quarterback I've ever seen in Daniel Jones, but they're not going to do that. Dave Gettleman's still there. He fell in love with Daniel Jones at the Senior Bowl.
Grabbed him early.
Yeah, listen, I'm out. They're not going after Brady.
Yeah, I'm out as well. Daniel Jones is their guy. When you get a new coach that comes in with this mentality, the guy, he's expecting it to light a fire under the guys, and sometimes it works against you. I'm not saying it's going to work against them, but Daniel Jones is the guy. You're not going to Tom Brady. You just walked away from, or Eli walked away from the Giants peaceably.
That would be one way for Brady to finally beat Eli. If he got to have his twilight of his career in New York.
It would be cool, though, Kevin.
Patriot fan Kevin Wildes, what's saying?
I'm a professional.
Yeah, you're a professional Patriot
professional. Fan. I saw this graphic, and I actually got a little sick to my stomach.
Not Brady with the Giants.
I was like, I hate it with all my heart. I hate it with all my heart.
So that means you're out.
Yeah, I couldn't put hate it with all my heart on the graphic.
You just put maybe on the graphic?
Yeah, but it's much more characters.
Okay, all right.
I hate it with all my heart. If we do it again, I'm afraid Wildes hates it with all his heart.
You've been incredibly heartfelt this segment.
Maybe that's what it is.
From the heart.
Well, he's going to be analytical, and Greg's like, well, when you look at this.
More from you, less about I love it. Juan, you want to play a little drawing a blank? Because you're getting frustrated. I don't want him to get, so he's getting frustrated. He's our guest.
Oh, no, that's terrible.
You can't do that. Yesterday, Jayson Tatum had himself another great game, 33 points, 11 boards. But, Nick, the best performance in the NBA last night was blank.
Russ! Yeah. 33, 9, 8, 4 steals. Maybe most importantly, as has been the trend the last month, only 2 three-point field goal attempts. He has cut out the worst part of his game, the three-point shooting. He has started to attack. Having the court wide open has been great for him. Russ, he has been spectacular, particularly post-Capella. He's made the Rockets, to me, the third best team in basketball.
I'm going to go with Bradley Beal, a guy who got snubbed on the All-Star team, who came out blazing guns to show the world he should have been on the All-Star team, had 108 points coming into last night's game, finished with 30 last night with a win against a playoff team, Brooklyn. Obviously, because he's not on national TV, we're not seeing these great performances, but Bradley Beal is having an unbelievable year, and he's not getting rewarded for it, so I got to show him a lot of love. Big win last night
for the month of February, not just the last 3 games, month of February, 36 points per game for Bradley Beal.
I am going with three-point specialist Trae Young, who had the block of the century.
Oh,
century.
Oh
century. It's an all-time block.
It's an because he blocks a guy who's a foot taller than him. I'm glad.
Yeah, it's an all-time block.
I bet you Trae Young may be talking about his block.
Nobody cares.
Nobody cares. It's a block of the century.
Oh my God.
Block of the century. It's a foot difference.
Oh,
you'll remember this block.
No,
yes, you won't.
This is
block of the century.
This is your
when Trae Young retires, they'll show that.
You know what?
They're like, Andy was good on defense.
You know what I think Wildes is doing? And I think it's a heady play. I think he is trying to
get under your skin.
No, I think he's on his first day trying to have as bad of takes as possible.
So it's only up
so
from
it feels
here.
like, well, it's an art. Hey, that was better than yesterday when you said Trae Young had the block of the century. So that's, you know what? I actually like the
century go back 100 years or just to the year 2000?
It could go back to Thursday, and it's not the block of the century, Wildes.
I'm saying it's in the running.
Okay.
It's in the tier.
On to the Lakers now. LeBron has been ruled out of tonight's game with a sore groin, but the bigger issue for the team is who's going to step up other than the King and AD. Nick, the most important Laker other than the big two is blank.
I mean, it has nothing to do with tonight. They're playing the Warriors. But over the totality of the season and come the playoffs, the most important Laker other than their big two is Danny Green. Danny Green has not played like it up to this point in the season, but Danny Green is a guy I have inherent trust in come the postseason. He has some all-time great finals moments. He can defend. You know he's going to hit big threes in the corner in the postseason. Danny Green, you can rely on him. He's a critical piece. He's my answer.
Good.
To me, it's Kyle Kuzma. He has to get going. If they have any chance of doing what we know they're capable of doing, that's winning the title, they got to get him back to playing good basketball. They got to figure out a way in that second unit where he can be effective. Well, he's got to get to 15, 20 points tonight. He's that good offensively to do that. And he's got to get better defensively, too.
Antoine, what's the first step to Kuzma becoming that player?
Change his hair.
He got to change his hair.
Okay. Yes. You got to look like a grown-up, Kyle.
I'll stop it.
You got to look. No.
He might should look at that. He probably should look at his hair regular, how he played, to how he's playing with it blonde.
Yeah. This is.
Okay. Hey, just give me the long list of great pro athletes with bleached blonde hair.
Hall of Famer Dennis Rodman.
It wasn't okay. Yeah. There you go. We're at one. And it's been 20 years. Who's your answer?
That was nice, that cat.
Deion Waiters.
Deion. Oh, my God.
I thought you would like that one.
Why would I like that one?
Because I was like serving up an alley-oop for you, like it'd be a team.
Why?
Because you're like, the Lakers need another piece. They're one piece away.
Rondo. I said they just need Rondo out. Doesn't mean you.
So who? Do they play 4-on-5? Yeah, Deion Waiters.
No, Deion Waiters.
Boom, Deion Waiters in the lineup.
No.
They just need Kuz to play better.
Yeah, they don't need Deion Waiters.
They don't need to add no pieces.
They're meeting. They're meeting March
2nd.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, last night Trae Young.
If Deion shows up.
Had the block of the century over 7 foot Mo Bamba. He's just one of the bright young stars in the NBA. But Nick, the player 21 and under you'd most want on your team, I think I know, but is blank.
Oh, this is so hard because I love Zion so much. But my large adult Slovenian son, Luka Doncic, is the answer. Luka is, we've already become numb. What did he have last night? With 26, 10, and 14, I think. We don't even care, doesn't even make the show. Till I mentioned it right there. He is already one of the 50. He walked into the league in year 2, one of the 15 best players in basketball. He is going to win multiple, not one, multiple league MVPs. Luka Doncic is my answer. Antoine.
I'm going with Ja Morant. And I'm picking Ja Morant because who you know on the Memphis Grizzlies roster?
Well, Jaren Jackson Jr., but he's out right now.
Okay, right. You see, right.
Yeah.
You're searching, and they're in the A spot right now in the tough Western Conference,
Sure.
and he's been terrific all season long. I know they're not playing great basketball as of late. They're on a losing streak right now, but I think what he's been able to do for the Memphis Grizzlies, this was going to be a rebuilding year, but now they're fighting for the playoffs. It's going to be tough for him to make the playoffs, but to be in the conversation, the fight, is just incredible. He's a incredible talent. He's going to be a great point guard for many years to come.
I'm saying Luka, but I have a question because I actually don't know.
Yeah.
If he started playing professionally, he was for Real Madrid at 13. Mm-hmm. Is he closer to the ceiling than everyone thinks?
Oh, that's a good question.
In your thanks,
Luka not have enough room for growth.
It depends if you appreciate those leagues and you think those leagues are very good.
Let's say they are, just for the sake of argument. Do you see them like we think? Ja Morant's ceiling's higher because Ja Morant wasn't a professional when he was 13.
Just sort of started.
Yeah. So is he almost already there? Because that's what his game feels like.
Well, no, I think he came in with a different swagger, different confidence level, Debbie, than some other rookies that we've had come in the league. He felt confident coming in that he can be effective, and he's also came into a situation where they've built a team around him. A lot of times you don't get those type of teams. It takes you a while. You have to earn the respect, but they build a lot. They built this team around him.
He's so good that if he just gets a tiny bit better defensively without improving, he's an MVP candidate. He's the best offensive player and the number one offense in basketball. He's putting up basically, 27, 9, and 8 already? Like, no, he doesn't have to.
He's putting up rush numbers.
Absolutely.
Back here, first things first, talking some Chiefs.
Some who, Jenna?
The Kansas City defending Super Bowl champion Chiefs.
Thank you very much.
Oh, man. I got to say that to him every morning when he walks into work. One of the biggest keys to winning Super Bowl 54 was the play of Tyrann Mathieu, who lists, among other cool things, post-Super Bowl related, joining us here on First Things First. Thank you so much for being with us this morning, Tyrann.
Thank you. Thank you guys for having me. Good morning.
Good morning. All right, before we get to the important stuff, we want to talk about something even more important. You announced your third annual Celebrity Kickball Classic taking place in KC this year on, I believe, May 16th. Tell us a little bit about it and tell us about your foundation.
Yeah, so May 15th, 16th, out here at T-Bone Stadium in Kansas City. I'll be throwing my third annual Tyrann Mathieu Celebrity Kickball Weekend. The last 2 years I've done them in New Orleans. It's been a fairly decent turnout. I feel like the next step for me is to kind of, obviously take it to Kansas City and let these people enjoy it. It's been such a great year, and I feel like the fans here have really been so supportive and encouraging. And I think the fans are a big part of why, we had a lot of success this year. And I think personally, they're the reason why, I have a lot of success. So, I think their support, their encouragement continues to drive, me, my foundation, and a lot of other guys throughout the league.
Tyrann, your foundation's great. The work you do for disadvantaged youths and financially disadvantaged youths is wonderful. You're teaming up with my friend, the high school classmate and good friend, Quentin Lucas, the mayor of Kansas City. I assume my invitation is in the mail or got lost or something, but I'll see you out there in the middle of May either way. I'm curious for you as a native Kansas City, and you've now been there about a year, your favorite spots. Everyone asks the best barbecue spots. We all know the best barbecue spots are Arthur Bryant's. But aside from that, in your year in Kansas City, some of your favorite things to do?
Really, man, I enjoy my family. I really enjoy my friends. I enjoy my teammates, being able to spend time with them. I feel like I'm in a unique, position out here. A lot of my teammates are my neighbors. So not only do we spend a lot of time at work together, we're able to come home and, see each other in the yard, trying to do yard work, different things like that. But I just feel like Kansas City was, for me. I feel like that was the next place for me, and it's been a great journey so far.
All right, Tyrann, as we dive into what the last month has been like, can you just take us through some of the highlights? I'm sure it's been kind of a whirlwind. Have you settled down yet, knowing that you can go to sleep at night as the defending, Nick makes me say it every day, Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs? Yeah,
I got to be honest. It hasn't really hit me yet, but obviously just to kind of reflect on the year we've had, the process. I remember at one point in time, we were 6-4. We weren't really good, and we was dealing with a lot of injuries as well. So I think to be able to overcome, certain challenges throughout the year and different adversities, I think ultimately that's why we were able to kind of, win that Super Bowl and come back in the fourth quarter. I thought we handled, our adversity the right way this season.
Tyrann, congratulations on your Super Bowl win, man. Greg Jennings. I just want to ask this question really quick. You're on a team with a lot of special players. If you win the Super Bowl, you got to have a lot of talented individuals. But to be named team MVP, like, you get a lot of accolades from the league, All-Pro, but to be named team MVP by your peers that you go to work with every single day, talk about that.
I mean, it means a lot to me. I think each and every day I wake up and go to work, it's really to make the people around me better, right? I want to build, my teammates up. I want my coaches to be able to trust me. But I think anytime you're able to win a team award, I think you're able to kind of sit down, reflect, and realize, how grateful and fortunate you are. It's a lot of great guys on our team, especially Pat Mahomes. But, I think for me, it was all about just handling, what I can handle. Going to work every day, being the right kind of leader, be willing to serve others, and then just be ready to have tough conversations, hold guys accountable. So I'm just so grateful that my teammates were really able to notice the efforts that I was trying to do this season.
All right, Tyrann, let's go through the playoff run, because I can quote it chapter and verse to you, but we've got some great clips of Patrick down 24-0 saying to the offense, make one play, just make one play in the opening playoff game against the Texans. I've also heard from players on the team, you were doing the exact same thing on the defensive side of the ball, when it looked like, oh my God, the hell is happening here? What are you saying to your teammates? And we think about the 51 points on the offensive side of the ball, being down 21-0. But you guys basically blanked the Texans on the defensive side after struggling early. What are you saying to them, and how'd you guys turn that game around?
Yeah, I think the most important thing is to, really focus on the next play. I really felt like defensively, a few of those plays were really out of our hands. But for us, it's all about coming to the sideline, regrouping, collecting ourselves, and then going out there and just focusing on the very next play. And I tell my guys that all the time, whether it's a good play or a bad play, just go to the next play. And I thought we were able to do that.
Well, now we'll skip the AFC Championship game, go to the Super Bowl. At what point in the Super Bowl did you feel like you guys had retaken control of the football game?
Probably really, somewhere in the fourth quarter. I felt like we came out, at halftime and we played fairly decent. I felt like in the fourth quarter we were still, really waiting to kind of hit our stride defensively. And, me and Frank Clark, we're going up and down the sideline. And, in our mind, we're running out of time. And I felt like our guys really stepped up, really put their foot down at the right time and was really willing to take control of the game, which in my opinion, I felt like the Niners had really controlled that game for about 3.5 quarters. And obviously, I feel like the fourth quarter, we kind of rose to the challenge.
So you guys end up coming all the way back. You take the lead. You're up 24-20. I, sitting at home as a Chiefs fan after Damian Williams scores that touchdown, if I'm being totally honest, and a defensive player don't want to hear this, I'm thinking, I don't actually hate if the Niners return this kickoff for a touchdown. Then Patrick's back on the field, down 3, and just end the game there. It's not what happened. It's 1st and 10. You're at midfield. It's the 2-minute warning. You're up less than a touchdown. It's the Niners are in the exact position they would have signed up for at the beginning of the game, the beginning of the season. During that 2-minute warning, one stop, you're champions. What's the conversation? What's the feeling?
Well, really just trying to, get a good idea of really what are they going to try to do to us. And we knew that obviously it was going to try to get the ball to Kittle. But most importantly, I felt like Deebo Samuel was their guy. And actually on the interception that Kendall Fuller caught, we had actually communicated the series before about that same route concept. We just thought that they were going to put Kittle at number 3 and try to force him the ball down the middle. But nevertheless, I think teams are going to do what they do well. I think defensively, you just have to be aware of what they're going to do.
So about 5 seconds after you guys won, people started talking about whether you guys would do it again and come back next year, because that's how it works in the sports media industry. Is there pressure on you with most of your core returning to roll this back, do it again, get back to the Super Bowl?
I mean, I look at our locker room, I go in there every day, and a lot of those guys don't really look at it as pressure, right? A lot of those guys just love to play football. They love to be out there, and I think that's what's special about this team. A lot of guys aren't necessarily looking for, the next award show to go to, or, what next commercial they can be in. I think it's more so about, what kind of plays can I make for my team? And so I think ultimately we're all grateful to kind of be around each other. But I think at the end of the day, we know, it was a good feeling this past February. And we're going to try to do our best to do it again, even though we know it's going to be really hard.
I want to kind of piggyback on what Jenna just talked about and asked. A lot of people talk about Super Bowl hangover. You hear that term often. Like, you're on a Super Bowl winning team. You have an opportunity, obviously a window of opportunity where you guys can do this again. What is it going to take, and what is the mentality? Like, what is the approach of not only yourself, but your head coach, Andy Reid, who this was his first opportunity or his first chance to win a Super Bowl and actually taking advantage of that. What is the mentality moving forward? What was the message after winning that game? What has been the message going forward?
Yeah, I think the message going forward, man, is to obviously, let's do it again, make another run at it. Like I mentioned, we understand how hard it's going to be, and even for me as a leader, it'll be twice as hard. But I think that's the challenge, right? Like, that's a responsibility you kind of take on as a leader of a football team. So I'm looking forward to it, man. I'm looking forward to the long days. I'm looking forward to the early mornings. And to be honest, Greg, it hasn't really hit me yet. So I'm not, even caught up in the hangover, man. I'm actually excited to get it going again, get it started again. And I think as long as your core players can feel that, I think you can get everybody else going in that direction.
Tyrann, I want you to do one thing for me before you go, which I'm not sure how comfortable you are with, but I'm going to ask you to do it anyway, which is talk about yourself for a second here, not just the team. You're one of the most relatable guys for a lot of us in the NFL, not the athletic ability, but the story. Someone who had a lot of promise, dealt with real personal struggles, had people doubt him, had people count him out, then seemingly as you're getting over them, something totally out of your control, some injuries. And it's like, okay, now you're counted out again. You got grounded with your family, you turned into a real grown man and a real leader, and now you have, not that you don't have more to accomplish, but if you never played another football game again, you could say, man, I've done everything I ever could have set out to do. How much personal pride, I know you're not done, but how much personal pride and satisfaction do you take in all you've overcome and all you've already done at this point in your career?
I'm more than anything, Nick. I'm truly grateful, man. I'm grateful for obviously God, but I'm grateful for the people that He's really put in my life. I truly believe that we are who we surround ourselves with, and I've been really fortunate to be around some good people. Everybody don't have that same grace. So I think for me, it's about keeping those people in mind and realizing that, I'm not out here by myself. It's a ton of people that support me. It's millions of people that are rooting for me. And I think a lot of times we can kind of get in our head and get in a really dark place. So for me, it's about continuing to surround myself around great people with great wisdom and great love and great encouragement. And I think really that's how I've been able to kind of continue to fight my fight. And I think we all have a fight to fight, but I think my fight involves an army of, good people. And so I try my best to lean on those people.
That's awesome, man. Congratulations, Ty. It's really great. And thank you so much, man. It was the greatest moment of my life, man. Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Thank you for listening to the First Things First podcast. Remember, leave us a review and tell us what you think. Subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts and catch us on FS1 Monday through Friday, 6:30 a.m. Eastern.